Well, now at 5, controlling Medicaid. It costs the state billions of dollars. What lawmakers are proposing and how people who rely on it are responding.
A local fire department made a big move to get its own budget under control. Now it wants to make sure state lawmakers don't jeopardize that work.
The Indiana War Memorial is eye-catching because of its glamour and attention to detail. And that addition is eye-catching for the opposite reason. Ty Simmons here to explain what that's doing here and how it's helping improve the memorial.
From Indy's streaming news leader, this is WRTV News at 5, streaming now.
And now at 5, windy, warm, some clouds, but definitely the best day of the week. Thanks for joining us here at 5. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. Enjoy this now because in 24 hours or so, we'll be back to watching for rain and thunderstorms. Meteorologist Todd Glosson is here to fill us in. A gorgeous day out there, Todd.
It is. Temperatures all the way into the 70s here in most locations. And you're exactly right. It wasn't even a close call to what the best day of the week was going to be. And it's today. And you have plans this evening. You're going to be in great shape as well. We're up to 76 degrees right now in Indy. 77 in Bloomington, a lower 70s here to the north from Peru over towards the Muncie area, and Bedford at 75 degrees. It's been completely sunny. You notice some clouds now starting to creep into the equation. While we'll increase the cloud cover just a little bit, we're not going to deal with any precipitation, so you're completely dry here this evening and into the overnight hours. Our next storm system off to our west. This is going to bring the potential for some strong to severe storms to the area as we work our way into the evening hours tomorrow. One thing you will notice this evening, besides the mild temperatures, is the wind. The wind's going to pick up as the evening progresses. It's a southerly wind, though. That keeps temperatures in the 60s this evening, keeps us in the 50s overnight tonight. But that wind will become more of an issue throughout the day tomorrow, and a wind advisory will go into effect. And that's when we could see some wind gusts up to about 30 to 40 miles per hour. We'll talk about the wind and the timeline for the severe weather and the impacts that those storms could bring to central Indiana. Mark, coming up in just a couple minutes.
All right, Todd, just a few. Thank you. Lawmakers at the State House are trying to right-size Medicaid. It comes as the cost to the state has grown by $5 billion over the last 4 years. WRTV State House reporter Meredith Hackler joining us now. And Meredith, I understand some people are concerned about legislation that has been proposed to get these costs under control.
Yeah, well, as you heard, that is a big number, Mark, and Senate Bill 2 has been made a priority by Senate Republicans, which creates work requirements for people on the Healthy Indiana plan. But it also requires all 2 million Medicaid recipients to do an eligibility check every quarter instead of once a year. Dozens of people signed up to testify on Senate Bill 2, authored by Senator Ryan Mishler, who says the Medicaid budget needs to be tamed.
Majority of Healthy Indiana plan members, for instance, 78% work, and those members of HIP who are not working already, they likely live in a household with workers, are full-time caregivers to children, are too sick to work, or cannot find employment.
Hoosier Action is concerned about the quarterly check-ins. So are Hoosiers using the plan. That's currently more than 680,000 people.
It's different for someone who's self-employed. My income fluctuates a lot from month to month. So if you just look at, maybe I had a really good quarter, but by the end of the year, it sort of all washes out and I'm still where I am.
Providers worry the quarterly check-ins could delay care.
A bill that makes enrolling for Medicaid more difficult for patients will lead to people losing their Medicaid, and it'll lead to people getting sicker. And those people will then go get care at our ERs, which are already overwhelmed.
But Senator Ryan Mishler feels it is a step in the right direction to get the Medicaid budget under control.
You're going to see most of our new revenue in this budget is going for Medicaid, and that's going to take away from other programs and services. So I just feel we have to get Medicaid under control. This isn't the cure. I think it's one piece of a bigger puzzle that we have to work on with Medicaid.
One change to the bill was removing the cap of how many Hoosiers can be on the Healthy Indiana plan. Now, that cap had been 500,000, but it was removed today in committee, Mark.
Meredith, this bill also prohibits the advertisement of Medicaid programs. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, I think we're still going to be figuring that out. You've probably noticed that the advertising for Medicaid programs, you've probably seen them here on our TV screen. Some lawmakers feel those shouldn't exist because they think it takes money away from the programs for patients. However, nonprofits and advocacy groups are concerned that portion of the bill will stop them from being able to share information about programs with people who are disabled or sick. It's something that will be examined as the bill moves forward. It did pass out of committee today, so I'm sure they'll be figuring that out once it gets to the House floor, Mark.
Yeah, another item to go back and forth about. Our Meredith Hackler live in the newsroom for us tonight. Thank you.
The Wayne Township Fire Department is now standing on more stable ground, and it doesn't want that to change. The department was facing financial difficulty last year until a merger with Indianapolis EMS helped balance its budget. WRTV's Jessica Grunling explains why their attention is now on the Indiana State House.
I was originally thinking we were in trouble.
That's Wayne Township trustee Jeb Barden.
That's why our board voted to merge not only the EMS, but also the fire department.
The Wayne Township Fire Department and EMS was facing a $5 million shortfall, losing $2.5 million in 2023 alone. A year later, things have improved. EMS merged with IEMS, saving about $5 million, and the fire department no longer needed to merge with IFD.
That's really saved the day.
It now allows them to look to the future. With recent retirements and a need to fill positions, the fire department is looking to hire 8 to 12 firefighters. They're currently in the list building process.
Under Indiana merit law, we are required to have a list of hiring candidates. We do the same thing with our promotion processes, so lieutenants, captains, and battalion chiefs. Every 2 years is a fresh list.
Public Information Officer Eric Bannister says it's a relief to be able to look at hiring and says it's a competitive process with nearly 200 applications in to fill those limited spots.
Like anything else, the new person you hire doesn't replace the veteran, but it does continue to allow folks to climb the rank, right? So as those of us that are at retirement age are getting ready to leave, there are folks under us that have been studying and have been part of our succession planning, so that they're ready to go to take over for us. So.
Even though their numbers are in order, the number of people they can hire is dependent on what happens with Senate Bill 1. The statewide property tax reform could cut revenue for local governments. Barden says the initial version of the bill left them with a $7.5 million loss in annual revenue.
It seems to have gotten a little bit better. So I'm hoping that calmer minds are going to prevail on figuring out how to reduce property taxes without eliminating local government.
In Wayne Township, Jessica Grunling, WRTV.
Well, Barden also says the merger with Indianapolis EMS has gone better than he anticipated. If you are interested in finding out more about becoming a Wayne Township firefighter, visit this story at WRTV.com.
Well, take a look at these potholes along Carroll Road on the northeast side near Geist. Look at that. Neighbors say they damaged multiple cars Monday evening. They say the stretch of road has been an issue for at least a decade, prompting neighbors to report the problems to the town of McCordsville, even though the city of Indianapolis is responsible for the road maintenance. So they called WRTV for help. The city of Indianapolis says those residents are in luck. DPW says its crews will repair the road tomorrow. The fix comes as the city says it expects to receive more money to repair residential streets this year.
We've got some new happenings at the State House that's going to send about $8 million our way, and then we're going to match that with another $8 million. So now we're going to have a dedicated funding source for residential roads going forward for the first time in a generation, it sounds like.
The city says it has received 4,000 more pothole repair requests this year compared to this time last year. Crews have already filled more than 98,000 potholes this year.
The American Legion Mall is Indy's Central Park, and the Indiana War Memorial is its central attraction. But lately, the memorial looks a little bit different. WRTV's Taj Simmons explains what is happening with this towering structure you see there and when it could be taken down.
The Indiana War Memorial is a testament to the troops, a landmark of limestone. And now there's a not so little addition on the steps. My question is simple. What exactly is it doing here?
It's funny what people think about it.
This catwalk in the sky is a bit confusing at first glance.
We've had people say, are you building a wing onto the War Memorial?
Some might even think about spreading their wings on this bridge to nowhere.
I'd be surprised if anyone wasn't tempted to just walk up on there. It'd be a great little place to just sit there, I guess.
But this is not Indy's ugliest observation deck. Indiana War Memorial's Commission Director Stuart Goodwin explains it is eye-catching engineering designed to fix issues you cannot see from the outside.
Some water had seeped through the roof and the ceiling of the top of the shrine is plaster.
They need heavy equipment to fix this roof, and since it's hard enough to walk up these steps empty-handed, the scaffolding became a very tall shortcut.
It goes up there probably, 70 feet, 80 feet. The amount of labor that it was going to take to have them carried up the steps and the time that it would have taken to do that, those two things, time and money, are what contractors are all about.
The pier relieves that pressure and allows materials to be delivered directly through this door. It's a bit strange looking compared to the memorial's craftsmanship, but the oddity is somewhat attractive for locals like Ash Loveday.
I actually went over there on top a few weeks back and I just took some photos because I thought it looked kind of cool.
According to Goodwin, it will tower over the steps until at least September.
We wanted to take advantage of having the scaffolding up, so if there were any other damage or repairs, that we would do it during that time.
Which means this temporary monstrosity will help keep this Indiana icon looking marvelous in the long run. On the steps of the War Memorial, Tosh Simmons, WRTV.
Very interesting. Well, in addition to the War Memorial maintenance, contractors are also replacing the roof on the American Legion headquarters. That work has narrowed Pennsylvania Street by a lane at St. Clair Street.
Helping veterans and families of Indianapolis is making progress rebuilding months after a devastating fire at a transitional housing facility for veterans. That fire happened downtown at Manchester Apartments on October 26th. It left 48 veterans displaced and prompted a community-wide response to help rebuild. HVAF reported today the North Corridor is reconstructed to provide 23 transitional housing beds. There will also be new electrical panels, windows, and advanced fire safety measures. The South Corridor, which sustained the most damage, is being redesigned and may include more housing units. The organization says generous community donations are paying for most of the renovations.
Still ahead on WRTV, a critical vote tonight on a project plan for a rural Indiana community that's already stirred up controversy.
And then almost home when the astronauts stuck on the space station for 9 months are scheduled to arrive back to Earth.
Very spring-like today with temperatures that are sitting in the 70s right now, and tomorrow's really mild as well. But once we get to Thursday, which is by the first day of spring, well, guess what we're going to bring in here? Some snow showers and a return to winter. We'll break it all down for you coming up as the News at 5 continues right here on WRTV.
Today.
The water is safe to drink again in Lawrence. The city lifted the boil water advisory just before noon. The boil advisory was put in place on Saturday following a water main break at the Fort Harrison water treatment plant. The repairs were completed over the weekend, but the city needed to get those results from water quality tests before lifting the advisory.
Tonight, a final vote is expected by the Pittsboro Town Council on a rezoning proposal for a new data center that's already proven controversial. Denver-based Vantage Data Centers requested rezoning of roughly 626 acres of Smith family farms from agricultural to warehouse industrial. People packed a meeting of the Advisory Plan Commission last month where Vantage's rezoning request was approved by a vote of 4-1. The property is located west of County Road 500 East between County Road 850 North and County Road 1000 North. Many residents feel the data center will destroy the rural feel of the area. By the way, the council meeting is tonight at 7 o'clock.
A big concert announcement to share with you. Grammy Award winner John Legend is coming to Fishers later this year. He announced the dates on his Get Lifted 20th Anniversary World Tour today. That includes a stop at the new Fishers Event Center on Sunday, November 16th. Ticket pre-sales begin on March 26th with general on sale Friday, March 28th.
A lot of big names getting in on that Fishers Event Center.
Oh, yeah.
It's so brand new, right?
There's a concert there tonight. A couple of our coworkers are going to, and it's a beautiful evening to get out.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it was outdoors here this evening,
right.
but we'll be getting into those pretty quickly here. But yeah, anything you want to do this evening, you're in great shape. Temperatures in the 70s right now and lots of sunshine, as you can see from our camera here at IMS. Looking past the golf course. Golf course is probably a pretty busy place here today with people taking advantage and trying to get out, work out those winter kinks from their swing. Your temperature right now, that sits at 76 degrees. The air is really, really dry with humidity humidity only at 27%. The winds are out of the south at 22 miles per hour. Wind is going to be an issue for about the next 24 hours, and then we'll run into the threat of some strong to maybe severe storms making their way through the area as well. But you're fine this evening. 79 in Bedford right now, 77 in Bloomington, 72 Anderson over into the Kokomo area. And with those southerly winds, your temperatures really don't drop off a whole lot here as we work our way throughout the course of the evening hours as we drop back down only into the 60s with sunset tonight at 7:55 p.m. Now, there's been a little bit of high thin cloud cover making its way into the area this afternoon. Don't worry about that. There's no precipitation heading our way. That's well to our north where the warm front is. But there will be a storm system that'll be heading our way as we work our way into the day tomorrow. Overnight tonight, we're in the mid-50s. It remains mild. It remains breezy. Your winds are just now starting to pick up. We do have some wind gusts out there from 30 to about 40 miles per hour. And this will be the case overnight and throughout the day tomorrow. In fact, the winds tomorrow get even a little bit stronger. So there's a wind advisory for a good chunk of central Indiana from 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. For the day tomorrow. The daytime hours for the most part will be dry. It'll be mild, mid-60s with the wind. But anytime I would say after 5 p.m., we'll start to bring in the chance of some showers and then eventually some thunderstorms and the threat of severe weather. Storm Prediction Center hasn't really changed their outlook. Still in the slight risk for the most of western portions of the state, and then it's a marginal risk to the east. We'll watch for these storms to come in after about 5 p.m. There could be some showers before that as we get closer to the 5 o'clock hour. Storms probably move through the metro area. I would say probably around the 7 to 8 o'clock hour, and then the severe threat will be over by 10 p.m. tomorrow evening, only for some snow showers, believe it or not, to come in here on Thursday. And Thursday, it's the first day of spring, but it's going to feel like winter with those rain and snow showers and temperatures only in the mid-40s. Main threat from the storms tomorrow evening will be wind and hail. Can't completely rule out the chance of an isolated tornado, though. We'll keep an eye on that. Thursday's briefly cooler, but back into the mid-50s as we head into the weekend.
A marathon phone call today between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. They spoke for 2.5 hours about the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, the White House says both leaders agreed peace will start with a pause on attacks on energy infrastructure, but there's no word from Ukraine. Their president wasn't on the call. ABC's Perry Russum reports.
President Trump says Russian President Vladimir Putin has agreed to stop attacking energy infrastructure in Ukraine, with an understanding they will work toward a complete ceasefire. The White House says negotiations on a ceasefire in the Black Sea will start immediately, taking place in the Middle East, as Russia and Ukraine inch toward ending the war. The announcement coming after a critical phone call today between Trump and Putin, the first known peace talks between the two leaders since Ukraine agreed to a 30-day ceasefire last week with U.S. negotiators. Ukraine not a part of the phone call today. The White House says Trump and Putin agreed the war started by Russia needs to end with a lasting peace, a sentiment echoed by Ukraine's foreign minister earlier today.
We also do really believe that with the leadership of President Trump, we could achieve long-lasting, just peace.
The White House says Trump and Putin believed an improved relationship between the U.S. and Russia has huge upside, including geopolitical stability and what the White House calls enormous economic deals, but only when peace has been achieved. Before the call, Putin speaking to business leaders in Russia, telling them to prepare for Western companies to return. Putin appearing to be wary of any possible easing of economic sanctions, saying the West will find another way to apply pressure. President Zelensky says if there is a partial ceasefire, he sees that as a positive result, but says a negotiation without Ukraine is not a negotiation at all. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
Right now, 2 astronauts whose 8-day mission in space turned into 9 months are about 35 minutes from splashdown off the Florida coast. Astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams left the ISS in a SpaceX capsule around 1 a.m. along with another astronaut and cosmonaut. The capsule re-entered the Earth's atmosphere about 10 minutes ago, and they are scheduled to splash down just before 6 o'clock near Tallahassee. Williams and Wilmore have been in space since June 5th. The Boeing Starliner they arrived in was deemed unsafe to bring them back. Look for continuing coverage of their return tonight on the news at 6.
There may finally be some sunny side up news when it comes to egg prices, when lower prices could hit your store. Coming up.
Frontier Airlines is offering a free checked bag on certain flights this summer. In a statement released today, Frontier CEO said this can be considered the ultimate, quote, divorce your old airline deal. Last week, Southwest announced an end to its longtime policy of 2 free checked bags. Frontier says customer response will help determine if its free service will become permanent. Right now, you must book by March 24th to take advantage.
Could we finally be seeing a break in eggflation? The latest government numbers suggest that prices may have peaked. Scripps News Group's John Matarese explains when those egg prices may start to go down so you don't waste your money.
Don't run out to Kroger just yet, but we could be seeing lower egg prices in the next few days or weeks. Wholesale prices on eggs are actually down in March. The average wholesale price of a dozen eggs fell to $4.15 last week, the third week in a row of slightly lower prices. That's according to the U.S. Agriculture Department. Now, prices in most stores have yet to drop. And as of Monday, Kroger was still at $5.49 a dozen. It typically takes a few weeks for wholesale prices to be reflected in stores, but the good news is the trend is now down.
Last week they came in, it was the first week that they didn't increase.
The Agriculture Department says demand has dropped this year, and farmers have been getting a hand on the bird flu epidemic in recent weeks, 2 factors that are causing prices to start dropping. Now, of course, demand for eggs will surge again in about 2 weeks for Easter baskets and Easter pies, and that could keep prices high through mid-April. Till then, don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese, WRTV.
Inside overcrowded animal shelters, advocates say thanks to stereotypes, most of those shelter dogs are pit bulls. Still ahead on WRTV News at 5:30, how one local humane society is working to change that narrative.
Closed captioning is sponsored by Tom Wood Direct.